Praise be to you, Yahuwah my Elohim. Praise be to your Son, Yahushua my Messiah. I come at your feet in the name of your Son. Thank you for the knowledge you pour unto me, and thank you for breaking all the shackle that was bound on my face. Yahuwah, you are the only true living God. Indeed. Thank you for your Yahusha, whom you truly love. You are Elohim, the Elohim of the Yahudim.
Shalom, family. You're tuned into The Remnant Awakens, and I'm your brother, Pierre Lidji. If this is your first time listening, just know, this is a space where truth gets uncomfortable, and comfort kneel down to the truth. Today, we're gonna get into something heavy. Why it always seems like the world's trying to crush Yasharel, the true Hebrews. Each empire, Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and even right here in the so-called modern world, it's like there's always a new flavor of the same attack. If you've been tracking with us through the last few episodes, you know, the nations after the flood, the covenants, the stolen identity, we're building layer on layer. Today, we're exposing the strategies the enemy uses and how the Most High keeps a remnant, no matter how dark it gets. So, let's roll it all the way back. Egypt. Remember what happened right after Joseph, our brother, dies. You get a new pharaoh who didn't care nothing about Joseph's history, about the famine. None of that. He looks at the Hebrews, and what does he see? Numbers. Strength. Like, you gotta picture this. You got a people multiplying right under your nose, still clinging to their Elohim, still sticking to the covenant, and Pharaoh's thinking, if war breaks out, these Hebrews gonna side with our enemies. Fear creeps in, and so he makes a declaration. Afflict them, crush their spirit, force labor, throw the baby Hebrew boys in the Nile to the crocodiles. This wasn't just about control. It was about cutting off a people before the Mashiach, before deliverance could ever show up. It's almost like from day one, the enemy's blueprint ain't even hidden. Destroy the seed, stop the promise. And yet, even as Pharaoh tightened his grip, the people multiplied. Pressure comes, but the remnant grows. It's kind of wild, right? Story after story, but we still here. So, if Egypt was about brutal force, Babylon pulled a switch up. Nebuchadnezzar, he's thinking long game. He didn't come in killing everybody. Nope, he took the best, the skilled, the young royalty, and tried to turn them Babylonian. You know the story. Take their names, teach them the language, serve them pagan foods, even change how they pray and who they answer to. See, this tactic's deeper than physical chains. It's about identity theft. If you forget who you are, whose you are, what covenant you're in, you'll start to live like your captors. Daniel, with other Hebrews, they fought this. Remember in an episode how we talked about Hebrew identity. Babylon's agenda was to erase it by making us blend in. But look, every time they tried to compromise, there's always that remnant who won't bow, won't eat the king's food, won't forget the name. The Most High preserves the faithful, even in the lion's den, literally and spiritually. Now after Babylon falls, Persia steps in, and with Persia, things took another wicked turn. Not assimilation this time, but annihilation. Remember Hadaka? Y'all know her as Esther. And the villain, Haman? This dude wasn't content with just lowering Hebrew status or turning us pagan. He wanted to wipe us out completely. Haman wrote the decree. Every Hebrew, all across the empire, man, woman, child, on one set day to be slaughtered and plundered. It's genocide, just spelled out in royal ink. If not for the courage of Hadaka, the covering of Yah, and fasting, that would have been it. Isn't it wild how every generation the tactics keep morphing, from forced labor to forced culture, now to open massacre? But listen, the deliverance was so total that the very day marked for death became a day of celebration. Purim, the pattern's there. When the enemy plots, Yahuwah intervenes, sometimes using the most unlikely vessels. Persia falls, and now comes Greece. Family, Greece, under Antiochus Epiphanes, ratchets up another kind of warfare, a war on the signs of the covenant. This guy defiles the temple, sacrifices swine on the altar. Imagine the disrespect. Outlaws Sabbath, bans circumcision. Straight up says observing Torah is punishable by death. If Egypt tried to kill the body and Babylon the spirit, Greece is going after the covenant itself. Because the enemy knew if Yashar'el lost Torah, the Sabbath, circumcision, you lose identity. You get completely cut off from what makes you different, what keeps you in covenant. We see something kind of similar in our world now, right? Even in an episode about how traditions and rituals get twisted. It's always this pattern: attack the covenant, snatch the identity. But the Maccabees, they stood up, and Yah honored that rebellion against wickedness. There's always a few who refuse to forget. Now, I want to talk about Rome, because this was the peak level of destructive strategy. First, you got Herod, trying to outsmart prophecy by murdering every Hebrew baby boy around Bethlehem, literally trying to erase the Messiah before he could even breathe his first breath. That's the spiritual war playing out in blood, and it's direct. Later, after Yahusha's ministry, Rome destroys Jerusalem in 70 CE. The temple goes up in flames, and the whole nation gets scattered. Many of my ancestors, the Yahudim of West Africa, end up being hunted, enslaved, and scattered even further. I mean, on this series, we keep circling back to this. Every empire that rises always targets the seed, always wants Torah and prophets erased and the people scattered, so the promise seems forgotten. But Yahuwah the Most High, He maintains that covenant through every catastrophe. We're still here, still carrying the name. Glory be His name, O Abba, Yahuwah Elohim. I don't know which words to use to glorify you, Abba. All right, family, let's jump forward. Europe gets involved. During the so-called Christian era, you see crusades, then the Inquisitions, and, the mass conversion campaigns. But nothing is more world-shaking for my people, Yashar'el, than the transatlantic slave trade. Millions of us, direct descendants of Yehuda from West Africa, loaded onto ships, brought into chains to the Americas, to the islands. Some folks, maybe you listening, family lines trace back to Devarim chapter 28, verse 68. Remember in the Torah, when it's written, Yahuwah will bring you back in ships, by way I told you, you'll never see it again. And there you'll be sold to your enemies as slaves, and nobody will buy you, rescue you. That's not just ancient poetry, family. That's history. And I know some folks still don't want to hear it, but this is prophecy being played out in bloodline. The modern global system was literally built on erasing the true Hebrews, on scattering, enslaving, and making us forget. So, we're here in 2025, and you'd think the war's over, but nah, the strategies are just slicker now. It's not physical chains, but media, school curriculums, pop culture, hip-hop culture, identity politics, and other agendas. Tactics are more subtle, but the war is the same. Confuse us about our heritage, distort what Torah says, mock the names, replace Sabbath with the Lord's Day, erase the feast days. They got folks thinking the Hebrews are somebody else entirely, and even went as far to spiritualize our existence. You even got DNA confusion and history books rewriting whole civilizations by the victors. But when you pay attention, it's all the same pattern. Separate the remnant from their identity, so we can't walk in the promise. But as we talked about before in an episode, the awakening is happening. The real Hebrews are waking up, connecting the dots, remembering the covenant, reclaiming the original names, the Torah, and the narrow way. But here's the hope, and I mean real hope. Yahuwah said he would never forget his people, even in exile, even scattered to the four corners. The promise is, I will gather you again. Yahuwah keeps a remnant, always. He said in Yeshayahu and in Yirmeyahu, if you search me with all your heart, you will find me. Look, Hasatan can scheme all day. Every empire can pass laws. It doesn't matter, because Yahuwah's word does not fail. That second Exodus, that regathering of the remnant, it's right there in the scriptures, and it's unfolding as we speak. The awakening is prophecy unfolding. And I know sometimes it's like we're too far gone, but nah, the Most High specializes in impossibilities. All right, family, I know that was a lot. Just running through history, empire after empire, all that hurt, and yet, every single time, Yasharel remains. Don't get discouraged when you see the attacks, or you see folks not waking up as quick as you hoped. This is how it's always been. Hasatan coming for the seed, trying to stop the promise. But let me tell you, Yahuwah preserves a remnant. Every generation, there's a people that remember. So keep holding tight to his word, dig deep into Torah, and don't let go of your identity, no matter how wild the world gets. I'm Pierre Ligi, your brother from the tribe of Yehuda, and this is The Remnant Awakens. If this message stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video so it reaches more people. Subscribe if you're awakening to truth. And comment below with what stood out to you the most. And if you know a brother or sister who's still sleeping, share this episode with them. Until next time, Shalom. See you all on the next episode.
Praise be to you, Yahuwah my Elohim. Praise be to your Son, Yahushua my Messiah. I come at your feet in the name of your Son. Thank you for the knowledge you pour unto me, and thank you for breaking all the shackle that was bound on my face. Yahuwah, you are the only true living God. Thank you for your Yahushua,